Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Le'ilui nishmasi mimarosi ruspas Mordechai. Shimi Weiss, Staten Island 41, introducing the daf to his 2-week-old baby, Chayalea. Proud grandpa, Penny Taub, Staten Island 81. Oh, Rabbi Sai. So, last week was a very challenging week. We had a terrible tragedy with Motty Pollak. And a lot of people were asking, where is our Baltakeya? The official Baltakeya, we have every Elul, we have Avi Mandelbaum. He's on Zoom, top, all the way on the top, every single day. He runs the shmooze before Shir, after Shir. Where is he? Rabbi Isai, here's the email. Good evening, Rav Eli. It broke my heart early today. He wrote this yesterday. To share the news of my cancer diagnosis. I considered putting the full technical name, but I decided to be nice. The outpouring of support, well wishes I've already received has been nothing short of breathtaking. Thank you, everyone. Two of the most frustrating things I've had to endure during my stay in the hospital has been the daily interruptions of Shir on Zoom. The comfort of the time in Zoom before the hospital. Yesterday, he got the diagnosis. He's been going for like a week and a half. What's going on? And he got the diagnosis. This is what he's writing. Also not being able to blow shofar at the end of Shir, or blow at all, because he's the Baltakeya in the shul. It's broken my heart. It brought even more, a few tears to my eyes. It hurts even more as a former member, Shimi Weiss, who's also Baltakeya. The Kitzer, please find attached photos of me learning the daf comforting. Of me learning the daf comforting, period. I know it's a comfort for me. One final note. I get soup at least one meal each day because his name is Avi I Love Soup Mandelbaum. That's his name. That's how he signs off all his emails. Often twice a day. As we all know, since Brachas Daf 23, I Love Soup. He signs off, Avi, I got this Mandelbaum. So, his name for tefillah, Rabbi Isai. He has it in 3 vital organs in an advanced stage. But I spoke to the doctor yesterday, it's very curable. It's one of the most treatable cancers. So we have to daven for Avram Menashe ben Chana Bracha. Look how strong he is. He's writing on the day of his diagnosis, wrote us an email, Avram Menashe ben Chana Bracha. Here's some pictures of him in the hospital. Shtickle forced smile. I don't blame him. But that's what it is. Moshe Brown, I thought this was very appropriate to follow up on this. Shalom Aleichem Rebelli, it's his 1-year anniversary. In reality, all the well wishes go to you. Without all the effort you put in the learning of Shema Geshir, I wouldn't be here where I am now. I'm amazed at how you deliver an upbeat daf almost every day, besides for the 2-3 days that you had to start the shir with sad news about a tragedy in the MDY family. We take for granted that every shir will have a few wisecrack-like moments to lift our mood. In addition to the Gemara, you've taught us learning should be Simcha, not as a pressure. You actually embody your slogans, Geshmak, to do the daf. Thank you again for the past year of daily learning. May Hashem give you koyach and siyat d'shmai to continue being marvelous Torah with Simcha. Amen. For many more years filled with health, hatzlacha, and nachas for you and your family. Your Talmud, Moshe Brown Muncie from Masechtas Beitza. All right, so the Olam can reach out to Avi. I know he's overwhelmed with different messages and everything, and we'll daven. We're very hopeful that Be'ezer Hashem. And by the way, Avi, he's on right now.
Avi gives away.
Avi, Refuah Shlaima, Avi. I don't know, we can't hear you, but Avi, you were the first house that I went out of the base medrash, went to your house in Moreshet. The first time ever that I gave a shir, not in the base medrash. So, should be continued to be zoche, to learn the daf with health and happiness. And thanks for being so strong. We're here with you, we're davening for you. Refuah Shlaima, the koilel, the parents of Chodesh. Avi Rachel Kamiansky, in memory of Rachel's mother, Ezra Bas Esther, Rita should be in Melitza Yosher on behalf of us and our children. The second sponsor of the month for the success of our family, and that we merit always crown Hashem. The Masechta is sponsored in Nishmas Yosef Baruch ben Moshe Aaron. And in Nishmas Mishalaz ben Nota Shalom. And for that, hatzlacha b'chol yolam my children. Second sponsor, Jeff Rosner. In zchus of my son, Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Sarah Chana Refuah Shlaima. Second sponsor of a month, Michael Benmeleh, Motty Perl Aaron Hirsch, to be zoche to make it to Uman Rosh this year. Second sponsor of the month, Zechariah ben Moshe. Third, the MDY Family, Ezra Tovia, Yaakov ben Yitzchak, Ezra Pollak, Shalom. And today's sponsor, Mutty Kirschner, Lili Nishmas, my grandfather, whose yahrzeit is today, Reb Duvid Eizik ben Reb Chaim Dov, Shalom. Rabbi Sai, Daf Samach Gimel. This is perhaps the most famous story in Shas. It's my favorite story in Shas. There are many favorites. This is the top of the top for me. Every time I learn it, every time I cry from emotion. Hopefully now, not so much. I just learned it this morning and I cried again. Says the Gemara. 4 lines from the bottom. And this is a story that every single one of us should take a lesson, a life lesson. It's unreal from all different sides. It comes from everywhere. Interesting to note that when we spoke about Rebbe Akiva and his 24,000 Talmidim that were nifter during the Sfira, it was also in Yevamis Daf Samach Beis. Stop. So here we are, Daf Samach Beis. Rebbe Akiva. Raya de ben Kalba Savuava. He was the shepherd of one of the wealthiest people of the generation. Kalba Savua. Chazite Brate David Tziniyo Mali. His daughter saw, Rachel recognized that he has great midas. Now, we have to understand that she comes from such a family, she has every shidduch she could want, top in the shidduch market. She goes to the lowest of the low, the biggest Amaretz of the generation. When I say Amaretz, I don't mean a Gemara Amaretz that he only knew half a Shas. He was an Amaretz. He didn't know a single halacha, nothing, zero. To the point that he said once that he wants to bite, the donkey should bite the Talmid Chachamim. He was anti-Talmid Chachamim. Not that he was a bad guy. He thought that Talmid Chacham, says Taisus, were against him. That they were showing him up. Big Amaretz. But she had the vision, she saw something that no one else saw. She saw his midas. So she went to him and she said, if we get engaged, will you go and learn in yeshiva? He's shocked. The daughter of his boss. Yes. They couldn't get engaged and do a whole party. Nobody would allow such a thing. Who would get engaged to Amaritz, to the shepherd? So they had to do it privately. They got engaged, and she sent him off. It might have taken 2 years, according to some cheshbainas. It wasn't that day. It took a lot of convincing, a lot of pushing, and he went. Shama Avua. So Kalba Savua found out about the shidduch. Apkemi Beise, he tossed her out of his house. Adra Hanam and Ichse. And he said, he made a neder. You have no right to touch anything from my belongings. Azal Yosef Trace Reishnin Bevirav. So he went, Rebbe Akiva went, he left his wife. It seems like he already had 2 children by the time he left. At least one. And he goes to yeshiva for 12 years. But when he came back after 12 years, he brought 12,000 Talmidim with him. He comes back with 12,000 Talmidim and he hears Ahu Saba. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Eliyahu Navi. Ahu Saba. They call him Allah and the Saba, the old man tells the wife, Ad kamo ko midabris almanus chayim. How long are you going to remain a widow when your husband is still alive? If he would listen to me, Yosef he would go again for another 12 years. Omar, so Rebbe Kiva hears this, he says, oh, she wants me to learn more. No need to go home. So he returned for another 12 years. We could say these words, we could say it again and again, 12, and another year, 24 years. You can't even fathom such a thing. There are people in this room, people get married when they're in 20. 24 years of not seeing his wife, not seeing his kids. He went back to yeshiva. So as Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, it's Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, Rabbi Isai. If he was already there, why didn't he knock on the door and say hello? How do you do that to your wife? You're already there for 20 seconds. Say hello, and I'm going to go back. Says Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, because 12 plus 12 doesn't equal 24. In math, it equals to 24. But in Torah mitzvahs, ritzifos, going straight, 24 years straight, is not the same thing as 12 plus 12. 12, and then a break, and another 12, he wouldn't be the Rebbe Kiva that he turned out to be. What's neged to us? You're learning the daf, for instance, and you get a WhatsApp, and you check your phone. It's not the same thing as learning the daf straight. You take a break for a minute. It's not the same thing. One whole daf, 1 whole hour straight. We're talking about ritzifos, like in yeshiva, we try to do ritzifos 6 hours straight or whatever. 24 years without a hefsek adas. He talks about hefsek. There's no hefsek, nothing. It was straight. Torah. Says the Gemara. Second time he came around, he brought with him 24,000. Can't even believe, can't imagine. 24,000 live Talmidim. Shoma devisu. So his wife heard that he's coming. So she came out to greet him. Her neighbors tell her, She'ili money, you got to borrow clothing. Levoish v'kasoi. Last time when I was learning it, I got a better pshat, better understanding of what I read many times, and I never was yored la'omek. Her father was madar anah from her. She couldn't have a dime from the guy, and her husband is away for 24 years. Can you imagine the poverty? She didn't have a job. She's a woman in those days. So her father didn't give her money and her husband didn't give her money. She had nothing. She didn't have clothing. Her clothing that she had were the most tattered clothing in the world. So he told her, if you're going to go greet your husband, put something decent on. Just decent. That's the pshat. You look terrible. What are you doing? Amr lehu, yidei atzadik nefesh behemtoi. A tzaddik understands the neshama of his animal. In other words, my husband understands how poor I am. The sacrifice she made. She got him, she fell to the ground. She started kissing his feet. It's interesting to point out that she wasn't a nida. How not? Maybe she was anticipating. She had to go to, maybe you have to go to the mikveh even when the husband isn't there. But she touched him. So his bodyguards were pushing her away. Leave her alone. Everything, all the Torah that we have here today. Shalom. Rabbi say, hear what's going on here? All the Torah we have today is from Rachel. Reb Akiva reinstituted the Torah. There was no Torah. There's nothing left. He put his Talmidim and Meir Yehuda. He was the one, but it's all because of her vision. Shali v'shalo shalachem. Shali v'shalachem shalom. Shoma avua dasagav rabba lemasa. So her father, Kalvas Avua, heard that there's a gadol that came, not knowing that it's his own son-in-law. Omar Ezra, let me go see if I could get out of my nether. I miss my daughter. I haven't seen her for 24 years. Also the so he comes to Rebbe Kiva, Malay. He tells him the story. Rebbe Kiva knows exactly who this man is. So he asks him, "No, had you known that you turn into a gadol, would you make such a nether?" Amalei, afilu perek echad. And here, this is where you see that he didn't know a thing. Zero. If he knew one perek in Mishnah, afilu halacha achas, I wouldn't have made the nether. As Tosfos, tap Tosfos. But how could you be made for a nether on something in the future? If I would have known that you would win the lottery, I wouldn't be made for nether. But today I didn't win the lottery. Just because I won the lottery in 6 years from now, after you made the nether, you can't undo a nether like that. A Pesach has to be something today that exists. Says Tosfos, incredible. Shloimar, 3 lines down from the top. It's not considered that it doesn't exist. When a Talmud goes to yeshiva, that's it. It's a done deal. It happened already. The derechu b'hoylach lilmoid shenasa adam gadol. If a person goes, if someone sticks in, if you go with, you're going to learn Torah and nothing else, guaranteed you're going to be a gadol. Guaranteed. Go to yeshiva, guaranteed to be a gadol. Do the daf, guaranteed you're going to be a gadol. As I state, as long as you don't have all the things in your mind. Not, it's Tosfos. I'm not saying Nedarim, I'm saying Tosfos. Omarle, I know who. It's me. I'm Rebbe Kiva. I'm Akiva, the shepherd. Nofale alape. So Kabbalah Savur fell on his face. V'nashki al kari, kissed his feet. V'yorev le palgam amoyne. Rebbe Kiva is a very, very wealthy person. And this is one of the ways he got money. His shver gave him half of his belongings. The richest guy gave him half. So Rabbi Isai, I believe every single person could take this story to heart. I personally, when I turned 40, I recalled this story, and it did something to me. I said, for all practical purposes, I'm an Amaretz. And I might not be an Amaretz like Rebbe Kiva, because I gave a shir then, but I'm still an Amaretz, big Amaretz. And I know I'll never reach the dirt under Rebbe Kiva's feet. He was the greatest human being that ever lived, possibly. But if he started from zero, and he ended up to be the greatest of the great, so maybe I also have to do something. Maybe I have to change something. That's when I decided to go to Eretz Yisrael. The age of 40. Everybody, no matter, it's never too late. No matter what amaratis you have and what your level in learning is, it's never too late. Rebbe Kiva, and it's not, you don't say, oh, he's a Tana and he's a this and he lived so long ago and it's different. It's not different. He was an Amaretz. Amaretz. And you see from the story what a genius this woman was, Rachel. The sacrifice not to take from her father, to be broigus with her own family for 24 years. She saw something in the Amaretz. Not going for the top guy in Hebron or whatever. To go for the shepherd, the Amaretz shepherd, because she saw the potential, she had the vision. It's unbelievable. Everybody should look at the story and see what they can do for themselves with the story. Says the Gemara, Brati de Rebbe Kiva, Avdalele ben Azehachi. And the story just continues, and the Musar continues, because when a parent acts a certain way, it goes to the child. It's the best chinuch, is you take action. This is what I do, and this is what my kid does. Brati de Rebbe Kiva, Avdalele ben Azehachi. The daughter of Rebbe Kiva was married to Ben Azai, and she did the same thing. A sheep follows the sheep. When I was in Europe, we had the shechting business, they always had this giant sheep that they never shechted. And they would just take it and put it through the shechting machine. There's a certain belt that all the sheep go in, they shecht on the belt, and they just put this giant sheep on, and all the sheep would follow him, and that guy would make it out alive, and nobody else made it out alive. That's the sheep follow the sheep. But what's interesting is her name is Rachel. Don't forget, Rachela, and her daughter followed Rachel, the sheep, followed her mother. Kuvdi ima, like a mother does, kach. Uvdei Varta. It could be that, by the way, this is the famous story also of the daughter of Reb Akiva, that the ani came and asked for money, and she gave her everything she had, the meal, and then it turns out that when she put her thing in the wall, she killed the snake. Could be this is the one. I'll go upon him. There was a guy that asked for a bracha from a Talmud Chacham. He said, I want a bracha that my son should be a Talmud Chacham. So the Rav told him, listen, you be a Talmud Chacham, you go learn Torah. Otherwise, your son is also going to come to the Rav and ask him for a bracha that his son should be a Talmud Chacham. You gotta lead by example. And I said this many times, I'll say it again, but my shver, a famous surgeon, he came to Tzvi Kamenetsky, he lives today, I believe, in Toronto, and he said, what are we going to do about Moshe? Moshe is not doing well in yeshiva and Skokie. He said he's not doing well in yeshiva, you're not doing well. I don't know exactly how he told him. He says, you're a surgeon, you don't learn a Jewish word, you're busy with your work, Yom V'Layla. Why don't you open up a sefer once in a while, maybe your son will imitate you. He told him, Azoi. And my shver that day went to the Chicago Kollel and got a chavrusa by the name of Reb Duvid Oppenheimer, and they haven't stopped learning a single day since 30-something years ago. And that son, Moshe, is a Rosh Yeshiva today. Huh? Yeah, because you got to lead by example. Zok the Gemara. Rav Yosef berei the Rava Shadrei Avui lebi Rav lekamei the Rav Yosef. I can't read. Pasha can't read. Wow. Paskali Shishnei. I'm serious. I can't see the words. The Rav Yosef, the son of Rava. He got a great shidduch. He's the son of the Galadar of Rava. They said, go learn for 6 years. And maybe we can laugh at this, but this is unbelievable. 3 years away from his kala. And he says to himself, Mota Mali Yom Kippura, it was that time of the year that the Talmidim used to come home as Erev Yom Kippur. Omar Ezel, Verzina L'Inche Beisi. I'm telling you right now, if I'm not reading correctly with the right Nekudas, tell me. I can't see well. So he says, let me go back to my house, to my kala, let me see what's going on over there. It's Erev Yom Kippur, this is when Shamavue. So Rava hears about it, Shokamona. He took out a weapon, Unofak La'ape, and he went and he confronted him. He said, you get back to yeshiva, you. What are you doing here? What do you think this is, a joke? 3 years, you're only away for 3 years. We said 6 years. You don't come back in middle. Again, the same yisoid as you don't break it up. So you would come back and say hello to Kala. Nothing happened. No, something happened. It's not the same thing as 6 years straight. Omarlei, listen to this lashon noirvayim. Zoynoschon iskarta. You recalled your zayna. You're here to see your zayna. Unbelievable. Rava talking, not. Igidamri, Omarlei, your noschon iskarta. A yaina is like a benzog, is the mashal of a couple, because pigeons they have one mate for the rest for the entire life. So you remembered about your kala. Says the Gemara Itrud. They started fighting about it. They had a little bit of an argument. He said, "Well, I was there for 3 years. Come on, Dad, let me." Loy marivsik, beloy marivsik. Both of them missed the Sudam Afsekes. They were both hungry the entire Yom Kippur. End of the story. Al Capone, you see this idea of get back to yeshiva. Says the Mishnah. The official Mishnah is sponsored by Moshe Cohen, the zchus for limud Torah and Ketina hatzlacha and parnasa. Interesting. I saw an halacha. It's a riddle. Bizman hazeh. If somebody's married to a woman, he's not allowed to get married to another woman. There's an exception. I don't know how many there are, but this is the only one that I've ever found. There's an exception. If a person gets married without any heter rabbanim or anything like that, and then he gets married, we're not going to tell him to get divorced, even though he has 2 wives. What's the exception? This Mishnah right here. Hamaredas. A rebellious woman, if you have a rebellious woman and you get married, you shouldn't, but if you did, nobody's going to tell you anything. Hamaredas abayla. And what exactly is she rebellious about? So I'll tell you the end of the Gemara. The end of the Gemara is from relations. Some say even if she refuses to do any chores in the house and work, the malacha. So what do? We take off from the cheshbon of the 200 zuz, we take off 7 per week, 1 per day, 7 per week. It seems like even it goes by the week, not by the day maybe. Interesting to note, we don't hold like this, says Taisus, but I just thought it's a great shot, so I'll throw it in anyway. He says, the Yerushalmi says, 7 a week, it's 1 for every melacha that a woman has to do, for the cooking and the baking and the cleaning and all the stuff. 1 per. So why, a second later it says, and if he's a moirid, he rebels against her, he has to pay 3. Says the Yerushalmi, because he's chayiv she'er ksus anayna. Says Taisus, we don't hold like that. Babli doesn't hold like that. But it's just a gishmak pshat. Reb Duvid Eizik shiva tarpekin, 7 tarpekin. As the Gemara is going to say at the end, it's half. Ad masai upoiches, how much could he take off? 7 per week. How much? Now, ad keneged ksubasa. So if a typical ksuba is 200, you go for 28 weeks. If there's much more stuff in the ksuba, there's toisefes ksuba, you keep on going. You go on forever. You even could dig into an inheritance that she doesn't have today, because it'll be a chayv that she owes him, and in the future when she comes into some money, she inherits, she wins the lottery, she has to pay up. Okay? It's another this is a shocker. It's something that I didn't really think about, so I thought I'll share with you. If somebody's wife is a meredes, she hasn't been with him, and I've heard a lot of stories like this. Some people actually advise women to be mered, and so let's say a woman is a meredes for a year or 2. Is her husband allowed to be in the same house with her? Is there a yichud on a meredes? It's a shocker. It's a yichud from your own wife. The Marsham says, yeah, it's also. Ravazim Paskin, it's also. Some argue, but just thought I'll throw it out there. It's no different if a man, it is different in the Metzias, but a man could rebel against his wife and he gets punished as well. Gemara explains why is he, in the amount, why is it different? Because he has much more tsar than the woman, says the Gemara. She gets an extra 3 dinner in her ksuba. Okay. What exactly is she rebelling against? From relations. Seems like all the 7 malachas, not just her salary, everything. Tanan says in our Mishnah, he rebels against her. Makes a lot of sense. We're talking about relations. What? He has to clean the house, he has to do stuff. I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not going to give you money. I'm not going to give you fairness. Oh, so he's mechuyev to give her. V'amarav says the Gemara. You don't add 3 like the Mishnah says. If he rebels, you add 3 zuzim, 3 zuzim a week. But it says over here, Rav says you give a divorce immediately. There's no money. Says Gemara. What do you mean? Nobody gets divorced within 24 hours. He's chayav to get divorced. Boom. Whoever has to get divorced, you go to Bezdin, and they ask you questions. You come back. You know how it goes today. It could take 2, 3 years, 5 years. Who knows how long? Today's gitin noirvayim, because they do it on purpose. They want people to take it back and see maybe we could go to Shalom Bayis counseling and this and that. So during that period of time that we're going back and forth, he pays three dinner a week. It's not a contradiction. Yeah, Rav says you have to get divorced, but not this minute. In 2 months from now. Okay, 2 months, it's 8 weeks times 3. 8 times 3. Okay, yeah. Boy, fine. Meisvei. It says we're going to have the entire Bryce on Amud Beis, but now we're taking part of it. It says we're talking about a meredes. Somebody who's mered, she rebels against her husband. Achasli arusa nesua. It doesn't matter if she rebels when she's arusa. What does it mean a rebellious arusa? There's no tashmish by arusa. It means she doesn't want to get married. Comes time to get married, she says no. Oh, you don't want to get married? Let's start dinging the ksuba until there's nothing left, and then you get divorced. Unesua. Vafilu nida. So this is interesting. Anida. So we're going to talk about the nida. She's us at him anyway. So what exactly is she rebelling now? Vafilu chayla. Vafilu shemeres yavam. Yibum is in the parashas of Shavua. Let me just show you the chart a second in case you forgot what it is. Oi, I forgot to take out the daf, but okay, we'll do that differently. So here you have 2 Baldwin brothers, Reuven and Shimon, and Reuven is married to Rachel, and then Reuven goes sideways, just for you, know. But here, I changed it up, because we always say she falls li'ibum. So, she falls li'ibum, she gets married to the brother. Rashi takes these lines out, but we can read them anyway, just in case. If you say that she's rebelling against working, it makes a lot of sense. You can't, there's no tashmish anyway. Or fine. So the answer is no. If a person knows that in a week from now he'd be mutter to his wife, there's no problem. But even though right now she's usher, and she says, I'll never be with you, that causes him aggravation, and that's why you get divorced. Okay? It's possible to have relations with somebody that's sick. But to work hard and go to this. Why should she why is she considered a meredes if she is sick? She can't do malacha anyways. Says the Gemara, you're right. When it says in the Mishnah meredes, it means tashmish, everybody agrees. Ki pligi, we're only arguing on another thing. Mimalacha. Is malacha also considered rebellious? If a woman says, I will not work, I won't do anything, I'm going to sit on my couch and do nothing all day, is that considered meredes? Marsava Ravuna holds mimalacha lehav meredes. It's not considered rebellion. At least you don't get penalized like that 7 a week, the whole thing. Omar Sovar, Mimalacha Nami have a meredes. No, you do get penalized. Amud Beis, sponsored in honor of Yankee Baum and Moshe Horn, Refuah Shlaima b'chol ha'anyanim, and zchus being able to support Limanat Torah and to finish learning shots with their belly. And for all those who skip the emails and don't know that we are starting a brand new volume of Art Scroll. And in order to get a freebie, it's a big volume. It's like, 35? Here in Eretz Yisrael, it's at least $50. 200 shekels sometimes. No? What does it cost? No, 93 is Hebrew. 150 shekel for the English. 180? Okay, depends where. You get a free one if you bring somebody to the shir. You go to growtheshir.com, bring your friend. Not only free Gemara is nothing. That we all know that. Who did I meet? I met somebody that has 2 Art Scroll Shasen, but he brought somebody to the shir so he could get a free Gemara. Not Joe, he told me that. Why not get us something free? Okay, great. But much more than that, I'm serious, he told me that. But much more than that, bring somebody to the Torah to change their lives. Chaval al azman. Zok the Gemara. Also, you do Tomer a very big favor because he doesn't know what to do with his extra Gemaras. He has piles and piles of Gemaras that nobody didn't get the friend. No? What about you, Mandy? How about your partner? He does it? Yeah. Let's get him with Stefansky? With Bornstein. We'll give him a free Gemara. Maybe he'll do it. Okay. Zok the Gemara. Gufa. Okay, so going back to the Brisa, the whole Brisa now. If she, okay, whatever. Listen, if that's the only way you can do it, great. Girls, boys, whatever. 7 dinarim a week. Reb Duvid Eizik shiva tarpigim. Rabbi Seinu chazav nimnu shiu machrizim aleh arba shabbos. Now the Rabbi Seinu they argue and they say no. You don't keep on going 28 weeks and sometimes 120 weeks, depending on how much she has in the ksuba. 4 weeks and she's gone. That's all we give her. And we send the bezdin to her, and then we tell her, that's it. You have 4 weeks to understand this. We're going to explain to you. You are going to lose everything. And this is what we had before. This is where we started before. It doesn't matter whether she's engaged and she doesn't want to get married, or who doesn't want to go to her yavam. Why should she be considered rebellious if anyways she's not in the parsha? It's such a tremendous yisoid that if a person is fasting and he can't get to food, he feels the fast. But if a person has the whole meal in front of him, he can eat whenever he wants, he's not hungry. So if a person knows that his wife is going to be mutter to him eventually, then it's fine. But if once she tells him, no, done. We had the other day, right? Just yesterday, a person who works on a ship, he's going to be gone anyways for 6 months. You don't have anything worse than that. 6 months separation. No, but if she says one word today, it's already not past the salary. Shalom Yisrael. Says the Gemara. They clap on the bima. All children out. We got to tell you about this crazy woman who rebelled against her husband. They say the name. They say the whole ma'isa, exactly what she rebelled about. No, tremendous bizayin. We're hoping that out of the busha, she's going to do some tshuva, get back with her husband. Brother and drushes. It's only on Shabbos. Shema mina, that what? This is the day, says Rashi, that everybody doesn't have work and they all get together in the Beis HaMedrash. And as soon as I was thinking about it, everybody gets to the Beis HaMedrash, South Africa. Everybody comes to Beis HaMedrash on Shabbos. Doesn't matter your affiliation, not affiliated. The most non-religious Jews, they show up to the shul on Friday night. They come with their cars and they sit down next to the frum guys. Everybody buddy, right? I'm exaggerating. Everybody goes to shul there. It's no revival. It's unbelievable. Not no revival. The opposite of no revival. You think that they're Sfardim or something. No, they're Litvaks. It's unbelievable. No, I'm saying Sfardim, they're so connected to Hashem, and no matter what, Chilonim, not Chilonim. Here you have even Ashkenazim. Zok the Gemara, they all come to shul, and that's why. Says Ravi, you see from me, that's Yimachar is in the base measure, that's where they come. Shema mina. Omer Omer Bachama. Pa'amayim sholchim lo mebezdin. We warn her twice from Bezdin. Achas kodim achroza, right before we start announcing this in shul. Listen, it's going to be embarrassing. Your own children are going to come home and say, Mommy, what's going on here? Why are they saying your name in shul? And why did they kick out all the other kids from shul, besides us? And after they're done with the 4 times, they come and they warn her again. Dorash, listen to this name, important to remember. Dorash Rav Nachman bar Rav Chizda. This is Rav Nachman, yes, but his name is the son of Rav Chizda. Halachic Rabbi Seinu, we don't go like our Mishnah, that we keep on taking off 7 a week, forever, 4 weeks and she's gone. Omar Rava, hi, Burcha. It's not true what you're saying. Omar Lei Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. This is a different Rav Nachman. His name is Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. My Burcha say, what's Anoam Ritan Halei? I said it to who? To Rav Nachman bar Rav Chizda. He's talking to Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. I said this over to Rav Umishmei the Gavi Rabban Rita. What are you saying? He's saying shtusim. I told it to him. And I told it to him in the name of something Bari Chashuv, Uman Rosh, Reb Chanina. Says the Gemara review, Kuman Savar. And Rava who made fun of this. He says it's not true. What is he holding? He goes like Rav Sheshes. Halacha nimlachim ba. Like the Mishnah. We keep on going every week, 7 off a week, 7, and if the ksuba is like $2 million, it could be like 60 years. Ravuna bar Yudom Rav Sheshes halacha where am I? Rav Sheshes. No, so he said in the name of Rav Sheshes halacha nimlachim ba. So Rava held the halacha is like Rav Sheshes that you just keep on going and you speak to her and that. Ravuna bar Rav Sheshes, but Ravuna said in the name of Rav Sheshes halacha enim lachim ba. So, how does it work? I want to be married to the guy. This is a real machshefa. I want to be married, but I want to give him tsaras. It's mamish on a high level. No. If Stam, she's disgusted in her husband, that's not a meredes. If she says, no, I want to be married to the guy, I actually like him physically maybe, but I hate him right now and I want to torture him. That's a meredes. If she says, he's repulsive, he's disgusting, like afin law. So now we're going to go into Ma'asalai, and this is a taina that I've seen with my own eyes. People, Bisman Hazeh, this is what they like to use a lot. Women say Ma'asalai. And I'm just curious. I'm sure in Bezin they say, what does Mos mean, by the way? Like they teach her, just say Mos. I'm disgusted by the guy. Why do you want to get? I hate him. I'm disgusted by him. That's a very common thing today. If she says that, like afin Allah. But she says, Rashi points out, she doesn't want her ksuba. I'm good without a ksuba. Just get me out of here. And today also, ksuba is not a big function in a divorce. It's more about the kids and what do they call it? Custody. Says the Gemara. Marzutra Omar Kaifinallah. You force her. What do you mean you force her? Hava Uvda, says the Gemara of Achbar of Marzutra of Anofak Minei. So you force her. No, you say, get back to him, stop hacking a china egg. Maybe you're in a bad mood today. Go back. So the Gemara's story that he actually forced a woman to get back with her husband. Unofak Minei, Reb Chanina Mesura. Now, to be with your husband when you're forced, it's terrible. You have the Gemara says you have bad kids. It's not a good thing to be in a forced position. So, but you see over here, they had a great kid. They had a gadol adar. They had a gadol. Reb Chanina Mesura. Says Gemara V'loy, it's not a raya. Over there, because Marzurta was the one, the gadol forced her, so she wasn't repulsed anymore. She didn't have that. She wasn't Mos. And because she wasn't Mos, they had a great kid. But if she remained Mos, if she thought he's a repulsive guy, they wouldn't have had that gadol. Says Gemara, Kalse der Azvid imardo. Huh? V'loy, Hosam siyat d'shmaya. That's what I thought I said it. Okay. The Bar Zutra is the one that forced them, so in Mela there's no repulsiveness. Says the Gemara, Kalse der Azvid imardo. What does imardo mean? So Rashi points out right away, unbelievable. It doesn't mean the mered that we're talking about until now. That she says, Tainus Mo, says Rashi. Why? Because if she was a meredes, we would take everything away from her entire ksuba, her clothing, everything. That's what we said until now. We only had a machloikis where they take away the nichsim belug. But over here, the story wouldn't make sense if it was a different taina. So it says Rashi, talking about meredes doesn't mean a typical meredes that we said until now. Rather, it means she's Mos. Havatfiso chachira, she had a silk coat, she grabbed onto it and she ran away with it. Yosef Meimar Umar Zutra Ravashi. Where do we just have these three sitting together? Just 2 daf ago, where Marzutra got a taiva for the chazer, and he took the finger and gave him 2 days ago. So the three of them were sitting again. There's a concept called bloisel kayamim. Bloisel means the worn out clothing, which exists. Kayamim, they exist. She lost her clothing. Just because he's an amveson. So interesting Rashi on top of Samach Daled Amud Aleph. I'm going to look into it Be'ez Hashem today. He's such an anav that he wouldn't argue in learning. Why is that anav? I thought you're supposed to argue in learning. If somebody says something wrong, you tell him off. No. Says Rashi was such a humble person. They argued with him and he took it. Interesting. We have to look into it. But because he's such an amveson, you're going to flatter him? He wasn't so sure who gets to keep the clothing and all the stuff, which we call soyin barzel, nichsei soyin barzel. These are objects that she brought into the marriage that are not in the ksuba. Says Gemara. Some say the opposite. She doesn't lose it. You flip the din upside down. Homer Rav Kahana, Rava had a shaila, he didn't know what to say in this case. Since we don't know the halacha, what do we always do when we don't know the halacha? So therefore, if she grabs her coat, we don't take it away from her. However, if she didn't take it, we make her wait. This is a big halacha over here, we'll say quickly. She waits 12 months. If the husband divorces her before the 12 months, he has to give her a ksuba. You have to do a waiting period of 12 months. But after you see less lame mezayna about, but during those 12 months, she does not have mezaynas refuah Shlaima to Avi Mendelbaum. Have a wonderful day.